life. Hi. Hope everybody's fine. As you know, I'm wearing a shirt because I'm always a classy guy wearing shirts as well as beautiful formal shorts. Thanks a lot, guys. Good morning to everybody. I hope everybody's feeling well. I just got to say a couple of things before we begin today's show. Wait, first we have to check if everybody's saying late OP or no. Sumit Somani has alleged that I'm combing my hair, which is possibly true. I'll be a mature person by the time this podcast starts. His Ninyan way. Oh, Ninyan way, that is. Shirt OP. Shirt OP, there you go. See? Thank you so much. Pratik Sahu says not ironed. Yes. This is one of the tough things about the lockdown is you have to iron your own clothes. And I feel bad for my iron guy because every few days he's like, sir, aur kapde hai? And I'm like, should I give you anything? Sorabh Katti says, where is blue Yeti? Here it is, man. If you're missing my blue to nahi hai, but silver zarur hai. Oh my God, Super Chat has already started. Nishant Jain, thanks a lot, man. Really nice of you. US dollars 5. Keep up these shows, Sorab. Love the diverse panel that you get. Don't stop these shows once COVID is over. Oh, thanks, man. I'm hoping to continue for as long as I can. Really appreciate it. It's very nice of you, Nishant. You're a nice, kind man. To start off my day on such nice ways. So thank you so much, Manish. Sai Abhishek Mishra Singh, calculate OP. Well done. Jignesh Pura Bia says, hate you OP. Chalo, theek hai, ye bhi acha hai. This looks like Saurabh's corporate show attire. Nahi re, aisa nahi hai Rishabh. Rishabh Agarwal, no. I wear this. I also wear a tie. Ye shirt nahi pehanta hai. I wear a tie. I wear proper. I wear my hat. It's all my Kumauni hat and all. It's all proper. I'm not so this thing also. Okay. Couple of things. A lot of people have been giving on Insta Mojo. I'll just read out two people. One person gave very generously. So I saw this message of this generous donation on Instamojo. So thanks a lot to Lakshmi Padma Nabhan. Thanks a lot. You're very nice. You know how much you gave. I don't want to announce it, but it is a nice, generous amount. You're a very kind person and I love you. And I think you're the greatest human being I have ever met. So I just want to say that to Lakshmi. Thanks a lot for your Instamojo. Again, you can support the show on PayPal and Instamojo. Sri Hari Padmanabhan says, I recommended Radhakrishnan Pillai few weeks back in comment section and here he is, fire and heart. Correct, absolutely correct. It always works. Avara Musafir says, Sorabh late, good morning. Thanks a lot. Okay, I'll quickly announce what's coming up on Saturday is, I'm just doing an AMA because we were trying to figure out something. AMA is, I'm going to try and center it around anime, but it can be about whatever you want to ask me. There might be a situation where somebody who has an interesting question, I might even bring you on the live. So that's happening on Saturday at 11 o'clock. On Sunday, we have Random Chicky Bum, which is going to be hilarious. And also one of the things that I'm going to discuss with Random Chicky Bum is the fact that I've never seen Andaz Apna Apna. So I got to discuss that. Next Tuesday, that's the big one. We are doing a watch along of the IPL final. So it's going to be a host of comedians, Nishant Tanwar, Anirban Das Gupta, I think Akash might join. I still have to ask a bunch of them, Anu Menon, a lot of people. So that's going to start at 6:30 p.m., 1 hour before the match, and we're going to continue through the match and then 1 hour post the match. So that's going to be big. 6:30 to 12:30, we're going to do that. So please come back for that. And lots of things coming up. Bhadipa is coming up in the next week. I'll tell you a few more people who are coming up. I've forgotten. There's a long list which we locked down. Bhadipa is coming. We're doing a Kolkata comedian thing. We're doing Son of Abish. Entire cast and crew, which is going to be fun as well. And also there is we're going to get the actors of Scam 1992. So lots of fun things coming up, dosto. Okay, my guest has been very kind and patient with me, so I'm going to bring this gentleman on. If you guys don't know Radhakrishnan Pillai, let me give you an introduction. He's an author and a motivation speaker. I will read the number of books he's written and then bring him on. Okay. I don't know if you see any theme in these books, okay? He's written books such as Corporate Chanakya, Chanakya and You, Chanakya, 7 Secrets of Leadership, Chanakya and Daily Life, Inside Chanakya's Mind, Katha Chanakya, Chanakya Neeti, Thus Spoke Chanakya, Corporate Chanakya on Management, Chanakya and the Art of Getting Rich, Corporate Chanakya on Leadership, Chanakya and the Classroom, Chatur Chanakya and the Himalayan Problem, Chanakya and the Art of War, Chanakya in You Pack. I don't know if you guys noticed there's a recurring theme in all of these books. I just in the chat, let me know what you think it is. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Dr. Radhakrishnan Pillai. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you, Sorabh? Thank you so much for being making me part of your show.
Thank you so much. I really sincerely, as always, apologize for being ridiculously late today. It's too late, so I'm sorry for that. I need Chanakya and time management. It's one of the things. Yeah.
So
So
just do one thing. Your watch should be 10 minutes ahead of you.
I tried that, and then my mind was like, "It's okay. It's 10 minutes ahead," and then I would be even later.
Change your watch.
I need to change my mind. Like today was such a stupid technical problem. My children took my this mic and they hid it. That's I need. It's always blame your children. As you are a father yourself, tell me at least 23 instances of when you've used your children as an excuse, or have you not?
Okay, so there is a beautiful 24th tip on parenting.
Yes.
It is said that I had 24 rules of how to bring up children. Now I have 24 children and no rules. So the whole art of parenting is all about, getting yourself wrong every time so that the children prove they are right every time.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. So one of the things that's been happening in the lockdown is that I'm taking my kids down to play, right? Which I never got the chance to because I was always traveling. And I'm playing with all these different kids, and you can sense that at the age of 5, all of them, you know who they are now, right? And it's so interesting how you can sense every individual personality. One person is slightly not political, but whatever. I don't know if that's the case for you. Like, did you notice that about your children?
Absolutely. In fact, they are political, apolitical, and they are all born in a generation where they are all leaders. They're not having the fear factor that we had when we were children. They were not tortured. They are not tortured the like way we are tortured. I think it's a complete new generation of unique individuals. We need to just
Right.
spot what they're good at.
So okay, let's get down to it. I know you don't have a crazy amount of time, and most of the time has been wasted in me being late. So what I want to ask you is that let's go back to the I don't know. Let's take a little bit of a chat survey. How many people are familiar with Dr. Pillai's work? Please put it in the chat. And Vibhor Agnihotri says Chanakya OP. So they are people. So let me know if you guys have read any of his books or watched any of his talks. I will be upfront and say I've seen a lot of your videos. I haven't read any of the Chanakya books, but the videos are very interesting and insightful. Let's go back to the sort of crux of it, which is that I want to know from a historical POV about Chanakya because I mean, I have a vague idea about he helped Chandragupta Maurya. His father was a minister in Chandragupta Maurya's dad's court, and so please tell us the whole story. I mean, succinctly, so we can get some idea about who Chanakya exactly was.
Yeah. So he's a historical character, not an imaginary one. He lived around 2,400 years ago, and that was around 4th century BC. His father's name was Chanak. He was a
Right.
teacher himself of political science, or what we call as Rajaniti. And he was in Magad kingdom. His father was in Magad kingdom, which is modern day Bihar, you may say. The Bihar elections are going on right now.
Yeah.
And the place where his father lived was Patliputra, modern day Patna.
Hmm.
The son, that is Chanakya, was also interested in political science like his father. Now, the major problem both the father and the son faced was the bad king called Dhananand. And it so happened that his father advised him to be a good ruler, but unfortunately did not listen. So it is said that Chanakya's father was killed by Dhananand, and the little Chanakya, Chota Chanakya, had to run away to Takshashila University, where he studied the Arthashastra and various other political science texts, came back as a teacher, and he also tried to advise Dhananand. But Dhananand was not ready to change, so he decided, okay, if the king can't change, I will change the king. And that's where he
Right.
created Chandragupta Maurya, another young boy, a spotted leader. And Saurabh, you'd be surprised. What you mentioned is the exact way in which Chanakya spotted Chandragupta Maurya. He saw some children playing around and he started identifying talent, saying that this guy, little Chandragupta Maurya, has got leadership qualities in him. He's a born leader. But remember,
Hmm.
a born leader is not enough to be a leader. A born leader also needs to be a trained leader. So
Hmm.
Chanakya took him, gave him a training, and made Chandragupta Maurya the king. And that's how he's known as a king maker, not just a king, but a king maker. And of course, there are a lot of stories around him. What are the strategies? A lot of things. including how he defeated Alexander. But what's very important is that he documented all his strategies in two books. One is called Kautilya's Arthashastra, and the second is called Chanakya Neeti. So this is Chanakya's life story in short.
So it's a very, I mean, there's so many questions that I've had. Even, I mean, because you've spoken about all of this before. I'm curious about two things which always stand out to me. One is that how did he beat Alexander's army, and was he was Chandragupta Maurya under with the advice of Chanakya the only Indian king who did that, and how did he do it?
So during those days, India was divided into 16 regional kingdoms. Like before independence in 1947, we were 550 princely states. Now, what happens is that when an external enemy comes in, the biggest problem is that we are not united.
Right.
And Chanakya realizes Alexander, a young, dynamic leader on the way to conquer the world, had almost reached the shores of India. And he had already defeated, the great story that we listen in our school textbooks. That is, Sikandar and Porus. Yeah. He had defeated and he was getting into India, but Chanakya realized, oh my goodness, if we don't come together united, Alexander is going to take over. So the teacher went to all the kings and said, we need to get united. But unfortunately, they didn't understand the concept because till then there was no foreign invasion into India. We were all fighting against each other. So nobody realized the intensity of what can happen when a foreigner would come and invade the culture and the country. So Chanakya said, okay, listen, I am going to use another strategy. So if the kings cannot get united, I got a strategic mind. The very famous strategy of Chanakya called as Samadana Danda Bheda. So he's tried multiple strategies. So I can tell you, when you go for a war with an enemy, you cannot have one strategy. It's like going to play cricket. You cannot say, I will only go and hit a sixer in every ball. Sometimes you have to let go a ball. Sometimes you have to go and take a single run. And when you get the opportunity, go for a boundary or a sixer. So Chanakya, when he defeated Alexander, he had to use multiple strategies. I'll tell you two of them. The first one actually was to get the kings united. So not necessarily all the 16 kingdoms got united. And of course, the most powerful was Dhananand, but at least 5 to 6 of them came together. That was quite interesting. Then we realized, okay, wow, here is a person who says, even if everybody doesn't come together, even if a few of them come together, let's do it together. And of course, he made one new leader out of them, that is Chandragupta Maurya. The second and a very important strategy is that you should understand what is the strength of the enemy. In the strength of the enemy lies the weakness of the enemy. He realized that Chandragupta had a great support with his friends, with other armies, but the strength of Alexander was the kind of a josh or the enthusiasm to conquer the world. And he went into micro-detailed study of the enemy, as we call research today, try to find out what your competition is doing. So he sent a few spies into the Alexander's army, and they realized they had better weapons, they had better huge, soldiers. But then he realized one thing, that they were new to India, and they did not know one very important thing, how to handle elephants.
Right.
Now, this is something we have to understand, if somebody has got a plane and we got a better plane, okay, now the whole thing is that they realized that Alexander's army was extremely good with horses, but they did not understand this animal called as elephant. And elephant is India's biggest strength. So what he did is that he collected a lot of elephants together and he defeated them. So you look at this, that when the horses are better, then the warriors are better, you can bring in a different strategy. So the elephants became one of the biggest strategic advantages. So one is, of course, getting a lot of the soldiers and together. And the second strategy is there are multiple strategies, but the reality is that Alexander was sent back, but not killed. It's very, very important. Many times it can so happen that you can kill an enemy, but the enemy can come back. And he did something very strategically. You know what he did? He got Alexander's general, his name was Seleucus, his daughter Hellenes married to Chandragupta Maurya.
Right. Okay.
Now, this is something very unique. Probably the enmity started and ended up with a friendship. So it's like, making the enemy permanently a friend forever. Now, that's one of the most beautiful strategies. Probably one of the first political international marriages.
Wow.
So we have to understand it is not just defeating. Yeah, it's very much it's strategically so that the problem was solved once and for all.
So the wait for, like, say, a Donald Trump to resolve the North Korea crisis is to get one of his sons married to Kim Jong Un's daughter and send them elephants. That's the that's the key to world peace right now is to resolve that. I mean, it's all very fascinating insights about it. I mean, there's endless. What I'm curious about is that this is, as you mentioned, Chanakya was 2,400 years back, right?
Yeah.
The question I had was that in that intervening years, which is like, I mean, this is, we are talking about what, 600
Fourth century
BC,
BC. Fourth
yeah,
century
fourth
BC.
century BC, sorry, yeah. So have there not been other sort of influences and people who've had the king's ear and been advisors to the king who've been equally inspiring since then, or nobody's come close to Chanakya? That's why the interest.
So it's like, there will be many experts in every field, but
Right.
certain people become benchmarks. For example, when we talk about the greatest scientist, we say, okay, Einstein was probably one of the greatest scientists. But, it is in comparison to whom? It is not that there were no scientists other than Einstein. Probably there were. But somewhere when you look at being a scientist, an ideal one and a world famous one, you pinpoint to Einstein. Same thing happened with Chanakya. Believe me, Chanakya was not the first person who wrote the Arthashastra, or he was not
Right.
the only person who was a political expert. There have been so many. If you go to Indian literature, we find a lot of strategists right from Narad Muni. By the way, we consider him like a person who is always there messing up things, but he's a strategist. He had an entry into the Rajas and the Devatas and the Purushas, everybody's house, So he also has written his own Arthashastra. Not many people know about it. So
Right.
Chanakya had studied the various models of governance and political strategies before his own time and made it better. And as you rightly pointed out, he made it so perfect that everybody after him were just, a small thing in front of him. So Chanakya became such a benchmark, and everybody else after Chanakya till today refer to Chanakya as the greatest. So it is not that there were no people after him, but the reality is that everybody referred to him and saying that here is a man who perfected the science. For example, we say Mahabharata, that's the greatest book written. Of course, there are so many books written after Mahabharata also. But then you say, it talks about human psychology in such a way that I can find one character of Mahabharata in myself and a few characters around me. So I think what's very important is that times may change, but the human psychology doesn't change. So Chanakya perfected human psychology to such an extent that everybody after him could not reach that benchmark.
Yeah, which is why I think, like, every time somebody does well in the Indian political arena, they're called whatever. Like Amit Shah is called Chanakya of, what is it? He's called BJP or something. He's called whatever. So okay. So here's the question. Do you? I mean, this is a political question, but do you think that Amit Shah is the Chanakya of politics, or do you think there are others as well?
In fact, I would go one step further. Say that not just Amit Shah, anybody who's working on strategy is a Chanakya for that particular party.
Right.
Okay? But I would like to go one step ahead and saying that for me, I have done a lot of research on Indian politics. And right from 1947 beyond and even till today. And let me tell you who my Chanakya in Indian politics is. It is Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel.
Right.
And the reason for that, it is not easy in the time that he was operating. Imagine 1947. And the Britishers were just living there, divided the whole country into 2 parts or 3 parts. And he had 550 princely states to actually, make it united. Now, I would say that this is exactly what Chanakya did in his time period. I think they were all parallels. They're an outside enemy. So we had Britishers outside. Chanakya had Alexander coming in. There were inside problems. He had Dhananand, and we had so many people aspiring for leadership positions. Most important that, Chanakya had to unite 550 princely states. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, unfortunately, did not live for a long time, but Chanakya's ideas have survived. So I would say that Amit Shah also, by the way, Amit Shah quotes Chanakya a lot. And not only Amit Shah, be it Congress, NCP, Shiv Sena, you talk about the party, there is a respect for Chanakya for being a practical politician or a statesman. So I think we have to respect the fact that, it doesn't matter who the person is, but the reality is that, there have been many Chanakyas. And the interesting part is that you can be also one of them. Anyway, you look like one with the hairstyle.
I need to shave properly. Actually, it's not like the beard needs to go. It needs to, and I need to look slicker. I need to lose some weight, also gain some intelligence. Both those two things are required to get even close.
Intelligence to hai. I will never doubt that.
Okay, let's take a few questions from chat. We got Teerth P who says, huge fan. You have emphasized on developing thinking ability and courage many times. What are some practical ways to increase both in a huge way?
Wow. There are two tips I like to give you. The first one being that, be a good observer of things. If you can develop your observation skills, you actually become more intelligent. Many people think that being a good student makes you intelligent. But unfortunately, our education system is only an examination system. You study, you mug up things, you got good marks, and you are done. No. I think it's very important to be a good observer of things. What do you mean by observer of things? Even when you're walking on the road, you can just look at what's happening around, what kind of a dress people are wearing, where they're walking to, what is happening in their head. So Chanakya was more a person around him.
So your voice is breaking a little bit.
Is that if you want to be intelligent, be very well informed.
Sorry.
One second.
I think your voice is going.
Is it better now?
No, it's got frozen completely.
Okay.
I think if you just reconnect your video, I think it should work. I'll just take some few more comments. So then Aerotech SJCIT15 says, do you guys know watching the stream without liking it is like drinking water from an empty glass? Like the stream.
Am I better now?
So you can put on your video now. Your video's off.
Now better?
Your video's off. Yeah. No, now it's worse. In fact, I'll get better. We can continue. No problem. It'll be a little up and down. So, Your internet's completely gone. I hope it's not from my end. The stream's bitrate is lower than the recommended bitrate. 1 second. I'll just try and do some low latency stuff. No, this is already decided. Manav, do you think this is from my end or from Dr. Pillai's end? Am I fine? His end, okay. Yeah, there's some internet problems from your end, sir. I think your Wi-Fi is probably this thing. Light Yagami, I'll take a few questions from normal chat also. As soon as there's internet.
Am I better now?
Yes, perfect. Now this is great. Yeah. Oh, see, you figured it out. This is a strategy. You've strategically placed yourself in an area with better Wi-Fi. This is exact. Chanakya would be proud of you today, sir, as always. So you're saying we're talking about Theed's question about courage and observation. We're talking about observation. Yeah.
Yes. So I think the first thing is to be a good observer of things happening around, right from how people are behaving, what they're doing. The second is to be very well informed. So if you don't know what's happening in America and say, अच्छा लगता है मुझे कि कुछ elections हो रहा है. So कुछ election नहीं हो रहा. It's like a world event, even though it's happening in America. So I'm not telling that you should know everything, but you should be very well informed. And not just what's happening in the newspaper, but make sure that what's happening in your house also. So one of the biggest way of handling strategies is to know what's happening around you. I've seen so many parents, they know everything about the world, but they don't know what's happening with their own children. So, if you want to be really intelligent, घर पे भी और बाहर भी क्या चल रहा है, थोड़ा पता होना चाहिए. Now, the second point of being courageous is a 3-point strategy. And I have always told this even in the pandemic, saying that manasthiti and paristhiti. Okay, paristhiti is all the same. Everybody is locked down. Everybody's finances has got affected. It's true. Let's not, just crib around it. So paristhiti being the same, what's your manasthiti? So the 3-point strategy says PPP. So first of all, be practical. Second is be positive. And the third is be prayerful. Okay, so what is the meaning of being practical? Suppose, if things are not working out, don't just sit down and cry. Chanakya says, keep continuing some activity or the other. So you need to be practical, saying that, okay, if I'm supposed to do online, let me do online. Suppose I cannot meet people, but at least I can connect on, WhatsApp or, important part of practical is working out. Artha Shastra, Chanakya is very clear on this particular point that, money and finance is very important. So if you have to cut down some expenses, work on your budgets, I think you need to sit down with your family and discuss so that you don't have, the clarity on finances. It's a very dangerous thing. The second thing is being positive. So what do you mean by positive? You cannot take everything negatively. So you have to be believing that things will work out. And the third one is have faith in God, universe, whatever you may call it. So it's being practical, positive, and prayerful. And if you practice this over a period of a time, you definitely will build inbuilt courage. I think the way to courage is, not blaming the paristhiti, but getting your manasthiti or mindset right. Because as they say, the real courage is here, not here.
Yeah, I mean, there's courage here also. I mean, it depends on how much you worked out. I mean, it's very hard for me, even if I'm courageous, to beat Dwayne the Rock Johnson. But I get your point. I think it's a valid point. Okay, so there's a few more questions coming. Lots of questions coming in fact. So I'll just leave the floor. I had a bunch of questions about Chanakya Neeti and all that stuff, but I'm going to give it up to a lot of people who are very excited. Shubham Tare has a strange question on chat. He says, is it true that Chanakya used to add small amounts of poison so as to make him immune from it over time?
Yeah.
That's a real thing?
So that's what I've also read. And as they talk about history, that, you never know what's sure. But that's definitely a very famous story that he used to add a little bit of a poison so that, you become immune to it. I think that's natural. Like if you look at, people who are living in, very bad conditions, not so hygienic condition, they don't feel the kind of, pressure that we go through, Sometimes, they may be less hygienic than us, but they get more immune. The way to do it is, build it up slow by slow. You just spoke about exercising, So I think you don't have the strength, but if you build it over a period of a time. So Chanakya realized that when somebody is in power, there is always a danger that he could be poisoned. So the best way is to build the immunity. And therefore, he also developed somebody called as Vishakanyas. Who are the Vishakanyas? They are able to digest the poison. They are also the poisonous girls, as they say, So it's very, very important to understand that, building your immunity internally and externally, both are important. So yes, that's a true story, which I've heard, or maybe a traditional story that Chanakya wanted Chandragupta to be very strong from inside. So he built in a little bit of a poison in his food and he became immune.
Wow. I mean, that's what I do with alcohol. It makes sense. I take a little bit and every day and it's good. It's an interesting question, man. Shubham, thanks a lot for your question. Okay, we have Avara Musafir. How are you doing, Avara Musafir? What's happening? Radhakrishnan sir, why do you think Chanakya's model is still relevant in the modern world, especially in the corporate and management world? This is the wrong question to ask, sir. He's written 17 books about exactly this. I think he's proven it repeatedly that it's still relevant. But yeah, I mean, if you like to answer this question, I'm assuming you get answered this question, asked this question quite a lot. So yeah.
In fact, as you rightly pointed out, there's 17 books. My first book is Corporate Chanakya. And in the introduction preface itself, I've answered it, but I don't mind repeating this again. So, you know what? Many people ask me, is Chanakya's knowledge or, wisdom, which was 2,400 years old, relevant today? Then, in the opening statement, I say, a lot of things can change, but unfortunately, the human mind doesn't change.
Right.
So the human mind is the same. So we talk about the external communication factors, we talk about technology, we talk about globalization. That's all fine. But human beings are still the same, So if you study the human mind, the search for power, fame, money, okay? And there's a lot of negativities, envy, anger, greed. And look at positives also. So don't think that human minds are only bad. Love, kindness, empathy. So I think we're all mix of that. And unfortunately, if you don't study the human mind, you will never be successful anywhere. So what's very important to know that, like even if you look at the corporate world, there is competition. Political world, there is competition. And you'll be surprised to know that I thought, this is only in the political world that you have power politics. But the reality is that there is power politics in corporate world also. There's power politics in the scientific world also. There's power politics in the academic world also. I never realized this. In that I thought academic world is very nice, but no. 2 vice principals, 3 vice principals, one of them wants to become a principal. There is some politics there also. So I think what's very important is that the angle of Chanakya as a person who understood human psychology can be applied everywhere, including the field of corporates and management. Being from a business background, I could relate to what can be used by Chanakya in the corporate world. That's why the first book came in, Corporate Chanakya. One simple example, if there are 3 successful vice presidents, okay, now all of them are doing good, and you are one of them. Imagine if there is one president post and the president is retiring, what happens? So, there are different techniques to it. I will give you a model, which probably is 99% of the people think that, if there are 3, only one can become, isn't it? So the remaining 2 feel envious, greed, but there is a different Chanakya model. Now, do you know the president is not the ultimate person? There is a board of directors. So, the board of directors will decide who among the 3 can actually become the number 1. Problem, right. Is it true? But you know what? I've been on the board of so many companies. And this problem comes to me and said, okay, what do you do? Saying that, you got 3-1. First of all, diagnose them. And all of them are good. But what do we do? They say, congratulations. So why congratulations? So make one of them president of your company, but use the other 2 for the other 2 companies that you have.
Right.
So why lose a leader? So unfortunately, we have been trained in competition so much that only one person can become the captain. But Chanakya says, I can create many teams. So look at IPL. You just spoke about the live IPL, when there was only one national, team, everybody was aspirant, remember? But today it doesn't matter. We got so many IPLs and you can shift teams also. But the important thing is that if you're a player, that talent should not be lost. So I think Chanakya's strategy is to broaden the competition with a collaborative spirit rather than, making human beings fight against each other and create negativity. Now look at this. This I have actually done in the corporate world also. Instead of looking at you versus me, can we think about you and me? From competition to collaboration. That's exactly what you are doing. I'm so happy that you keep promoting me and I'm going to promote you. So together we grow. So Chanakya's neeti is about looking at different dimensions rather than looking at, what is the models that worked in the past. And in one modern way, it's called as design thinking.
You're right.
Don't just follow the pattern, create a new pattern. So you need to look at what can be the alternative. Greatest management guru, Stephen Covey, put it very nicely. Instead of looking at you versus me, can we think about you and me? So these are the things that are relevant in the management world also. And today's generation, especially the young boys and girls, they are not looking out for a job. They're looking at creativity. Creativity starts from design thinking. You can be good in everything that you do. And especially Chanakya will help you there.
Yeah, it's actually good advice for everybody, which is the collaboration is such an interesting thing, because I think having been a creative professional or whatever, I mean, mostly unprofessional, but for the parts where I was, it is about the collaborative effort. And even if you're saying having a startup or being an entrepreneur, it's really rare that you're going to do it alone. Like, unless you have a YouTube channel which you're creating from your house, which is effectively entrepreneurship in its most basic form. That's the only time where you're going to do it by yourself, but it's very rare that you're going to do it just by yourself. You're going to need people.
So what you rightly mentioned, you may start at home all alone, but as you keep growing, you require more and more people.
Yeah.
So initially it may be one person show, one man army. But you know this, today we are collaborating. Ranveer connected us. Ranveer is collaborating. So what is happening is that you may start as a one person, but as you keep growing, you realize it's a teamwork.
It's actually a really great this thing, because the assumption that you have with regard to management all the time is like, it's like main jeetega, and then you're like, but everybody can also win. You don't have to take yourself along with for the ride. You can take other people along as well. So that's good advice.
Yeah, in fact, just to add on, Sorabh, it is said that there are 2 concepts. One is survival of the fittest, and the second is live and let live. So the problem of the concept that we have is, only one person can survive. There are 5 people. It's not true. 5 people can be big in their own spaces, right? So that is what we should think about, especially all the young boys and girls. Collaborate. Look at your strengths and look at the strength of the other person. 2 strong people coming together can actually build something amazing. Unfortunately, the education system has only taught us to compete. And, it creates so much jealousy. But I'll tell you something. I'll give one example. to just add on to this, I was once in a college, okay, in a very famous college where there were student elections. And can you believe, one of the students actually was one of my fans and all that. So he used to listen to my talks and he used to come and get personal mentoring. And he came and told me, sir, I want to tell you something very interesting that happened in my college. So what happened? So then I got elected as, I think some student leader. And immediately when I got elected, the person who lost, okay, it was a girl who lost and she was also very popular. I went to her and saying, let's collaborate. And she was like, okay, I lost the election. Like, we have the Trump elections coming in. You go to the other person and this girl was shocked and saying that you, first of all, defeated me. And what are you trying to tell me that, and he said, no, seriously, think about it for a day. I want you and me to work together. And believe me, it changed around the whole direction of the college afterwards. So, if you respect somebody on the other side who's better than you, okay, go to him and ask him and say that, can we collaborate? And believe me, magic will be created. That's what Chanakya did. He got all the kings together and said, let's collaborate. He did that with Alexander. Think about it. He defeated Alexander. So you need to be a winner. So don't just give up the game. Be a winner and go to them and say, let's collaborate. So give me your daughter. Seleucus' daughter was married. And please understand, it was not taken as, a slave.
Yeah.
She was of a princess. Some should learn to collaborate also.
Your voice is going again. I think it comes and goes on and off. It's fine. It's you've stabilized now. But I mean, it's interesting. It's to do what that guy did at that particular college is an interesting thing. It's like getting a majority victory at the election and then starting a coalition. And it still makes sense because then the coalition partners are at least not conspiring against you, which tends to happen a lot. And again, you have better results. So yeah, I think it's great advice. I mean, to just tell people, I have noticed in my own life that people who tend to collaborate a lot with each other, even in stand-up, right? Like even though stand-up comedy or even being an author or whatever is a solo job, you tend to get better results if you're sort of running it past each other and improving each other and all that kind of stuff, which is so interesting. I got to ask you this actually. I'll take a question and then I'll ask you this question. Again, this is a question that we've answered before in a bunch of videos, but this is a question again from Teerth P, who says, what are the competitive advantages currently for the youth? Can you hear us?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, Teerth P says, what are competitive advantages currently for the youth? There's so many. I mean, where do you start with that? Yeah.
Okay, I think you can listen to me, right, Sorabh?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
So I think Sorabh, you rightly answered. There's so many advantages. In fact, the biggest problem is too many advantages and so much confusion. Right. So it's a generation of what to choose from. It's like a buffet dinner, The plate is small and you don't know what to choose. And in our generation, we only had one big plate and, hardly anything to put on. Now you got small plate and so much to do. So yeah. Two things has happened to your generation. Number one is that education is not limited to a school or a college. You can just sit on the mobile, grow up. The information is on your fingertips. You have access to so many successful people now. Okay. And you have real-time access. You never know. You just give a call and somebody can pick up and say, okay, tell me what to do. Third important thing is you also have finance happening around. We are not in a poor India anymore. Okay. So globally, we are all connected. So what are the advantages? Too many to list. But the question is that when opportunity comes, either we are sleeping inside. Okay. When opportunity comes and knocks your door, either we are sleeping inside or we are gone out. It's very, very important to actually figure out one space in which you want to become big. Otherwise, what happens? We keep doing trial and error and finally realize we are nothing. So like Sorabh, you have established yourself as a stand-up comedian, as a person who's an intelligent in that particular space and have made a mark. Unfortunately, youth keep trying so much thing, but they don't focus on one thing. So it's important to do a little bit of a trial and error, but it's also equally important to take the advantage of focusing on one thing and making it large and big. That comes through collaboration.
Yeah, I would also suggest that that at some stage just have a side hustle, which is you never know when it's going to become a like. So, for example, this show that I'm doing, I did a variant of it previously in January, which is called Pant Plus One, and it's not like my main bread and butter or whatever. I mean, it wasn't, and now during the lockdown, it's suddenly become. So you're like, yeah, I'm glad I continued doing it for whatever 9 months or whatever it was. So That's interesting. That choosing what you need to choose. Varun Tulsian is here. Hi, Varun. How are you doing, my brother? Thank you, Dr. Pillai and Pant OP for the stream today. Wanted to listen and learn this since long. Question is, it said that Chanakya wasn't all goody. He was cruel and selfish, question mark.
Yeah, I think he was a very practical person. So, at one end, you have to understand that what is the kind of a role he played. Okay. And the second, and you should understand he was focused on results. So he had to achieve results in which field. So remember, he's the space of political strategy. And a king or a political leader has to deal with a saint and a sinner. So when you're in a political scene, don't think only goody people come to you. The criminals come to you, the crooks come to you. So you can't be taken for granted, right? So there is a saying about Chanakya, a tooth for a tooth. So if there is a saintly person coming, a vidwan coming, a teacher coming, a scholar coming, he'll say, come, I want to take your advice. But if a crook comes, he knows you have to give it back. So I think this is not about being selfish or being crooked. Okay, this is being strategic. A lot of people don't understand the difference between manipulation and strategy. People think manipulation is strategy. Manipulation is, trying to get into the, power game by, making sure that the enemies are not around. No. Chanakya says, I need to achieve my results. So if for the results, if the crook comes, I may use him also. So you have to understand this, that, sometimes even an enemy can be your solution provider. I would suggest for all the people, watch the serial of Chanakya. It's available on YouTube, Dr. Chandraprakash Dwivedi. You will see that how strategically he used some of the enemies also for his advantage. It is said that Dhananand, who was the enemy, his minister was Amatya Rakshas's partner. So think about it, that you have Amatya Rakshas as a competitor, but you made sure that the Amatya Rakshas becomes a part of you.
We missed that last part. The internet got disconnected again.
Okay, where did I lose?
Just the last two lines.
Okay, so Amatya Rakshas.
Yeah.
So you'll be surprised. Imagine you have a strategist on the other side. So Chanakya was a strategist for Chandragupta Maurya, and Amatya Rakshas was a strategist for Dhananand. Right. So when he won, he actually invited Amatya Rakshas to be the mantri. How many people can do that, So this is also respecting. So if there is a thief, if there is a terrorist, there is a crook, I know how to show him the way. At the same time, if somebody is an expert, I will collaborate with him. This smartness Chanakya had. Otherwise, you know what? We don't know how to judge people. We have to collaborate with the right guys and also make sure we defeat the wrong guys. So this wisdom is what Chanakya has. And in the Sanskrit literature or Sanskrit language, this is called as Viveka Buddhi. Viveka Buddhi is the ability to discriminate between the right and the wrong and the good and the bad. So be friendly with everybody, but choose your friends carefully.
Right.
I have a lot of people who can give you opinions, but choose your advisors carefully.
Right.
Opinion can be given by anybody and everybody, but advice should not be taken by everybody. Advice should be only taken from experts. So you should know who the expert is. That friend, one of my tweets I just mentioned saying that, it is very important to know that the difference between advising and taking an opinion. Opinion can come from anybody, but advisor comes from a person who has done it. So if you want to become a stand-up comedian, if you go to Sorabh, then it is not an opinion. मुझे लगता है कि आप ऐसा करोगे तो stand-up comedian बन जाओगे. He's going to give an expert advice and he will tell you also what are the things you can avoid and become a better than him also.
Yeah.
So be careful. Practical philosopher, a realistic rather than just being a.
Okay, your voice got cut again, but yeah, I mean, it tends to happen as stand-up comedians as well, because essentially what tends to happen is that as a comedian, you're islands, right? You're all creating your own thing constantly. But like, for example, if you're doing a YouTube live stream, which is something that 6-7 of us have done, every one of us has spoken to the other to figure out how it went. Right, because that's, as you said, advice and opinion is interesting, where you just try to figure out how it worked. Okay, we have a question which is from 20. Okay, I'll take a question that I had. which is that you've spoken about Chanakya Neeti, you've spoken about all this stuff, and told people that this is how you can use the advice, etc. When you became an author or a motivational speaker, however it may be, what did you use to sort of out of whatever Chanakya's teachings were to further your own cause or your own?
Yeah, use the strength of others to your advantage.
Right.
Okay, so I'll give an example. It is not being selfish, okay? It is being strategic. Like for example, became an author. The industry was all about.
Your voice is again completely coming and going. Lots of issues.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Okay. I'm audible now.
Yeah, it's fine. I think it's going for 10 seconds and then coming back. So it's fine. Please go ahead.
So I would say that, I have always understood that, strategic collaboration is a big thing in being an author or a motivational speaker. For example, when I wrote my book first time, Corporate Chanakya, I had no understanding of what an author means. And believe me, I took up a goal saying that I'll become India's #1 business author. How? I actually realized one thing. JCO, my publishers, are really good. They understand distribution. They understand what a book means, a good cover page. So what is important is that if you are collaborating with the right partners, they bring in a lot of strengths on the table. So that's how I realized one thing, that if you want to be successful, partner with those people who are better than you. So I may be a first-time author, but they are not first-time publishers. So I think that every mine, believe me, 17 book of mine, all of them are bestsellers. 17 books. So how can you get it right every time? हो सकता है. क्यों नहीं हो सकता? So I've written with 5 publishers. I've published a book with Amazon also, with Audible, and saying that, I know their strengths. I exactly know my strengths. So, I can't do anything other than Chanakya. So when you're reading out all the lists, you can see Chanakya, Chanakya, Chanakya. A lot of people give an opinion, not an expert advice. Why don't you write on Ramayana? So no, that's not my space. You should know what's your strength. You should know what's your partner's strength. At the same time, you should also know what you can't do. And you should also know what your partner can't do. Don't have unrealistic expectations. So that when you collaborate with the strengths and be aware of the weakness, you definitely hit the goal mine. So that's the way I have been working as an author or a motivational speaker. Never get it wrong in the planning stage. You always win the game in the planning stage, not when you play the game. Playing the game is a very small part of it. So as they say in the Indian Army, I work with the armed forces very closely, so I do a lot of Chanakya sessions for them and all. Beautiful thing in the Indian armed forces, it's saying the more you sweat in peace times, the less you bleed during war times. Yeah. So it's planning and the preparation that goes to win a war. It is not just your tools during the war. So it is the back end that makes Amazon the better company, because their delivery systems are perfected before it actually you put an order. So I think, friends, plan out in detail before you hit. That's what Chanakya is all about.
Yeah, I mean, I remember hearing about your epiphany that you had, where you realized that, hey, I have to focus entirely on Chanakya, and you decided to stick to that, which was an interesting sort of guideline. You know what I'm saying? That, I mean, 17 books. I was in fact having a conversation with the publisher yesterday, like somebody, because I've written 3 books and none of them are even close to bestsellers. So I'm not even like, see, so me telling you something about publishing is an opinion. It's not advice. Because there's nothing proven that I've succeeded. But I was talking to her about your books, and she's like, yeah, he just figured it out. He's like, this is what works. So that's great. Okay, if you're watching the stream, please like and share and subscribe, all the rest of that nonsense. We're going to go on for about, so how much time do you have?
10 minutes, if you're okay.
Cool, superb. Yeah. So we'll take 2 questions from the audience, and then we'll let's go. Okay. Where's it gone? Avara Musafir is back. Apart from Arthashastra, what other books do you think can inspire people in today's chaotic world?
So apart from Arthashastra, I definitely suggest Chanakya, Neeti of Chanakya. So, these are the 2 famous books of Chanakya. But other than that, okay, very important, I would suggest all of you study the Mahabharata. Oh, Mahabharata. And I'll tell you, my definition of Mahabharata is much bigger than what we know. We talk about, Mahabharata from the Pandava Kaurava perspective. That's a very small part of Mahabharata. Do you know Mahabharata is a full game on strategy?
Yeah.
So, it's not just about, the war that happened and the missiles that you used. It's a very, very cinema kind of a way of looking at things. But when you study Mahabharata, you'll be surprised. There's so many elements which have lost in our generation. Okay, I'll give you a simple example. Do you know that when Arjuna, okay, was supposed to defeat Karna, okay, guarantee was already there that Arjuna will win, not because Arjuna was better than Karna, because he had Krishna on his side. What do you learn from Mahabharata about strategy? Even you may not be the best in the game, but if you have the best advisor on your side, the best coach and mentor on your side, you're definitely guaranteed a winner. So you think about the other side of the story. Okay, all of you would think about it, saying that who is the best student. Okay, so many times this happens in schools and colleges, best teacher, best student. Let me tell you, the best student may not be the most successful student. It's the tuning with the teacher that matters. For example, the same Mahabharata, we had Arjuna and we had Ekalavya. Ekalavya was a better student than Arjuna. He didn't even meet the teacher. It's like, sitting on Google and studying everything out. And you have more information than the actual student sitting in the class. But the reality is that Arjuna was the favorite student of Dronacharya.
Yeah.
So that is very important. So I'm not telling you as this, maska marne ke liye teacher ke liye. No. Don't try to become that kind of a person, teacher, what to do. No. Arjuna was good. But remember, he was not number one. Arjuna had better people there. So you have to be among the top 3 on your own by hard work. But the one person who wins the game has got a strategic advantage. So it's like, being a finalist in a competition. So you have to defeat hundreds of people and you're in the top 3 or 5. But the one person who becomes the number one necessarily doesn't have to be the best. He needs to be more strategic.
Right.
So can you believe Mahabharata is full of strategies? So coming back to your question, one of the books that I would recommend apart from Chanakya Neeti is Mahabharata. Let us also take a couple of books from the West. I say East and West, take the best. In the West, I like my favorite book on strategy has been, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. Okay. And of course, Art of War by Sun Tzu. Some of you must have heard about that also. And there's something called as 51 Laws of Power.
Right.
So I think, these are few of the books that I keep reading and referring to. Start with Chanakya, but don't end with Chanakya. Look at Rama and Mahabharata from the West, from China, from Japan, everywhere else. There's so many books on strategies. Start reading them.
I mean, I read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People when I think... Sorry? Did somebody say something?
No, nothing.
So I read it ages back, and I read it after I had already started my job, and I'm like, I wish I had started before. One of the things I remember from it is that Dr. Radhakrishnan Pillai, you'll be attesting to this as Dr. Radhakrishnan Pillai, said one of the things is that you always mention somebody's name because they love hearing their own name, Dr. Radhakrishnan Pillai. So that's just something I mentioned.
Sorabh.
Yeah, you meet somebody, you're like, Arjun, kaisa hai Arjun? Arjun, sab theek hai Arjun? And the guy's like, wow, I really like this person. Yeah? This person knows my name. It's a great strategy. Okay. Okay, we'll take a couple more. Okay, lots of questions are suddenly coming. I'll try and take as many super chats as I can. I think we have like 6-7 minutes left. Avara Musafir I've asked the question. Varun Tulsian is back saying, Dr. Pillai, what do you think about the TV shows about Chanakya and Maurya, and how much can you take it as truth?
So I would say that, there are different versions of Chanakya, but I would say, learn from everyone, depending on the time. Because the best one was Dr. Chandraprakash Dwivedi. We all saw it as children, came on Doordarshan, it's available on YouTube, free download. But, after that, Ashoka came in, Chandragupta Maurya came in, so many versions, And to be very frank, being in the space of Chanakya, I watched a couple of them and I gave up. Because I was saying that how many dimensions can you see? But my suggestion is that take one to begin with, but others take it with a pinch of salt.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something very interesting. I'm involved in a movie of Chanakya.
Oh.
So I'm part of a very big movie project. Neeraj Pandey, producer of a lot of successful movies, Wednesday and MS Dhoni. So we are producing a movie on Chanakya, and I'm heading the research part of it. So we are done with the script. My suggestion is that, after so many serials and everything, we still need to have a good movie on Chanakya. So we are in the stages where the scripting is done, but we'll be shooting it because of the corona. The shooting got delayed, and Ajay Devgan is acting as the main Chanakya part of it. So
Right.
watch everything, but keep watching out for the Chanakya of Neeraj Pandey, where I am also involved. That will be the best.
If Ajay Devgan needs a stunt double, let me know. I can at least like match some parts of him.
Sure, sure. I'll put it to Ajay.
Wait one second. So it's going to be interesting. Is Ajay Devgan? I'm just going to make Ajay Devgan jokes now, which is like him divided between Alexander and Chandragupta. And one of the strategies he uses, he arrives on two elephants. And he's just doing a split on two elephants as Chanakya. And he's like, this is my new strategy. This makes sense. I'm looking forward to that. So when you guys are starting the shoot when?
So actually, we're supposed to start the shoot before the corona pandemic hit us. But now I think, let's take the best scenario because we don't want to compromise on the quality. We've been very conscious about how to go in. So even if it's a 1 year delay, if everything would have gone right, maybe in the early 2021, the movie would have got released. But it looks like, with all things happening, and we are using global strategies for it, taking the best of, technology, it's going to be a worldwide release. So I think we have to wait till 2022 because we don't want to get it right. And the way we are looking at this already, a lot of hype about the movie. The media has been talking about it. So I think we'll have to wait for a year. Otherwise, the things are ready. The casting is done. The script is ready. I think it was very difficult for us to get the script right because we got so many versions of Chanakya.
Yeah.
And thanks to Neeraj Pandey, sir, he's been thorough researcher. Our team actually landed up in Alexander's village in Greece also.
Oh, wow.
So that's the kind of way we visited at least hundreds of libraries across India. We got so many books. So it was like amazing. I respect Neeraj Pandey, Sheetal sir, who's part of the team, So they actually spent a lot of time, effort to get it right. Fortunately, it's got, we don't expect that, everything can be covered in one movie because we have collected so much research and so much data. And you never know, maybe we can have a series later on as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's also very interesting, like with something like Scam 1992, it's actually proven that we are capable of making something that gets into that zone. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, yeah, we figured out this zone and we have full research karke aaye hain par log.
No, we have done over research for a movie. Imagine somebody doing 4.5 years research for a movie. I've heard about it. So I think wait till 2022 at least for the movie. Then let's see with your response, it can spin off to something else.
Yeah, I mean, with all the crazy amount of research you've done, psychic sidekick is not very happy with with Devgan as Chanakya. People are always angry, so it's fine. Raja M says, "Do cast Akshay Kumar as Dhananand." This is always a good idea. We have one more question coming in from Mridul Gupta. I think we discussed this, but we've not covered this so far, so it's an interesting thing. Mridul Gupta asks, can you discuss major learnings from Chanakya that you can apply in the corporate world?
Yeah. First things first, every company depends on the quality of the leader, the attitude of the leader. So if you look at it saying that, same industry, but two different companies, one is successful, one is not successful. It all depends on how the leader is running the organization, his or her value systems. So the first thing is that if you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to be a corporate, whatever, your attitude of leadership and your training of leadership matters. The second and a very practical, please focus on finance. Because companies are supposed to be wealth creators. They're supposed to be job creators. So if you have a great idea, fine. But if you're not made profits, you're not paid your salaries and your vendors, sorry. It is a dharma. It is a duty and the responsibility of a business leader or a corporate leader to create wealth. So Chanakya is very practical. Friends, we need to create wealth. It may take time, okay? It may take time, but you have to be sure that finally it has to come down into wealth creation. Right. One more important thing is that you cannot do it alone. You need to have a great team. You need to trust each other. And I'll tell you, there are so many Chanakya tips in corporate Chanakya also. One of the things is that please focus on hiring the right managers in your team. So, you have to trust your manager, but before you take a manager, test your manager. Right. So test before you trust. Because it's going to be a long-term relationship. Because you cannot keep changing your people every time. So if you're building a company, a corporate, remember one thing, your team has to be there throughout the journey. So it's very, very important that be a good leader, create wealth, but for doing both of them, you need to have a great team. So it applies in the corporate world, and especially today, you'd be surprised. India has come to a particular point where we have 65 registered startups in India in the last 6 months, or 6 months to a year. So you can see, and it is said that we will have more than 100 unicorns in spite of pandemic, in spite of corona. That means all of you should think like a corporate. Learn from the Americans and the Britishers, but make it better. And I want to tell you that Indian managers are respected across the globe already. IBM, Microsoft, Google, think about it. All of them are led by Indians. TCS is the largest employment provider in the software industry.
Right.
So, Indians are already globally respected, but somewhere let's do it in India as well. So it's very important to mix up leadership and strategy to create wealth ethically and to create a team which you trust. But before that, you test. So these are some of the strategies.
Yeah, like, I mean, in my case, I wish I had tested my manager, Manav Avasthi, Just to mention Manav, I mean, hey, man, are you tested properly, Manav? And also Niharika and Manu. So I know you have to run somewhere. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. If there's, I mean, again, there's a lot of books on Chanakya. Is there any particular book you'd like to get people to start off with? Any particular suggestion?
Yeah. So simplest one to start off is Chatur Chanakya. I've written a children's book as well.
Right.
And yeah, the reason is that, many people think that Chanakya is all about leaders, kings, politics. But, Chanakya can be applied to your personal life also.
Yeah.
So yes, Chanakya Neeti is there, corporate Chanakya is there. But if you love children's book, and by the way, children's book are not meant for children alone. Like Avengers is not meant for children. It's for everyone.
Yeah.
It's important that you start with any of the books. You just Google it, you'll get all the 17 books. But my favorite is Chatur Chanakya because, that's something that we are introduced in the schools now. How can little children think about, strategy? And the strategy is called as Anvikshiki. How to think strategically. So if you like simple stories, Chatur Chanakya, and the second book is Katha Chanakya. A lot of people are asking about stories of Chanakya. I've written a book called Katha Chanakya as well. So it's like asking a mother, who is your favorite child? I've given birth to 17 books. So you decide the best. But the simple one is Chatur Chanakya to begin with.
I'll actually get it for my kids and read it to them and confuse them with my opinions. And also, please follow sir on Twitter. Chanakya Pillai is the Twitter handle. Please follow him there. Thank you so much for your time, sir. Really appreciate it. And I hope you have a good day. Thank you so much.
You've been a great host. I look forward to you. I have always respected you, sir.
Oh, wow. You're the only first person I've met who's ever said that. That's really kind of you. To lie in my face, sir. No, that's really nice of you, sir.
Really from the heart. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pillai. I'll take your leave. Have a good day. I'll just do some goodbyes and end this thing. Thank you, sir. Okay. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in so far. I know this is a slightly short one, but we had only 1 hour, so I can't do much. It's all good. It was a fun, this thing. Sagar G is saying, okay, I'm trying poisoning my food tonight. Kush Shah says, strategic children sounds dangerous. Sorry, what are you saying, Manav?
I only joined this call for a reason. So what's
the reason? Planning? Hey man, I'm planning to put you through a Hunger Games of management, where you and 6 other managers from Kwan are put in a death-like scenario to see who survive.
They'll give us substances and kill us.
Yeah, there's so many variants of this. I'm imagining how a Hunger Games for managers of artists would be like. I think it would basically be like NH7, right? Can you get me on the NH7 major stage? That's the test.
We're not doing comics this year.
Oh, how come?
Just music. No circuit only this time.
Achha.
We've got
NH7
circuit,
is starting when, by the way? NH7 is starting like it's an online festival. When is it starting?
December. I'll send the dates.
Cool. So go see. I did my piece. I've done NH7 contribution also. See, nicely I did it.
You
like
were
a nice
supposed
person.
to do a swipe up.
It's swipe up to this YouTube live. There is no way to do it, but just do it. I'm saying right now. Okay. Rohan Pandey is on some trip about Ashoka pillars. I don't know what you're talking about, dude. Try carbon dating of Ashoka pillars, then you will know I was right or wrong. All were fake, planted by British. I think he's just doing a 4chan troll right now. Some nonsense. Okay. Psychic Sidekick says, good guest. Please bring more such unique guests. Thoda IPL kam gyan zyada. And please bring back Suresh Menon again, this time alone. नहीं रे अभी आईपीएल तो और बहुत होने वाला है अभी प्लान तो ये है कि हर ट्यूसडे को हम लोग क्रिकेट के बारे में कुछ ना कुछ तो करने वाले हैं तो टेंशन नहीं लेने का इसके बारे में Utkarsh Hadge says Clone Wars is somewhat modern mythology of Chanakya. I think that might be a stretch, but sure, we'll accept it. I'm doing MBA now. I'm scared. Kajol Agarwal, something she said. Anyway, Arey, why you removing his? I want to see his deleted message. Okay, chalo, kuch aur hi tha. ठीक है. Cool. That's about it from me. Again, Saturday we are doing an AMA unless I find a guest. We'll do an AMA. We'll talk about anime and all sorts of other things. I'm currently watching. To tell you what I'm watching in anime, and Manav has already declared that I'm not an expert on anime, so I should not do this, but I'm still doing it. What do you say, Manav? What do you say? What are your allegations?
Just tell me about Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. Just tell me about it, no?
Yeah, so see, Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, it's basically about, it's...
hence proven, Sorabh. Hence proven.
Eternal Mangekyo Sharjah was... it's one
Don't
of the grounds,
do that. I know you're typing, okay? I know
one of the grounds in the
type.
UAE is called Sharjah, and it's where the final of the IPL is going to be played. See, I take it from your expertise to my expertise. We just turn it into something about the IPL. Easily done. Okay, we also have a second channel, and we're going to start doing lives there soon enough. I'll put the link for the second channel. Not figured out exactly what we're going to do, but we're going to do it. Lost Soul has correctly said now Manav is testing Sorabh. Correct, absolutely correct. So, I'll announce what's coming up soon, which is Saturday is the AMA about anime and beyond. It's not just going to be about that. We'll talk about other things. Might bring a few people on. Sunday, I'm very excited about Random Chikibam, Rahul Subramanian, and Kumar Varun, one of my favorite guests, and Wake Up with Saurabh. Going to be here talking nonsense. Tuesday, again, is the IPL watch along, which is going to start at 6:30 p.m. on the IPL final. 6:30 to 12:30 probably going to happen. Lots of comedians going to be there. I'll try and see if Jamie Alter is available. I'll tell you the list of people who I'm going to ask, and then we'll see who comes. Sonali Thakkar, Anu Menon, Nishant Tanwar, Akash Mehta, Angad Singh Radial. I'll try and ask if Bhaskar is free as well. Naomi Datta, Jamie Alto. Lots of people are going to be popping in, hopefully. Entire list. So it's going to be like full, basically, for everybody who's been seeing the Cricket Premi stream. It's going to be a full this thing of that. And next Saturday, and then Bhadipa is coming one of these days, and lots of people coming up. Again, you can support the show on InstaMojo and PayPal and all the rest of that stuff. Shri Hari Padmanabhan says, how did you personally feel about this episode? It was good, man. I wish we had more time, but sometimes you just don't have time. So, yeah. Also, I'm going to be doing something fun, which might happen with Rajiv Masand. Just got a WhatsApp from him saying that this might happen, which is that Rajiv Masand and me are going to sit and talk about our top 5 best and worst movies of Bollywood. I'll announce the date soon. I think it'll happen post November 15th. So that'll be fun as well. So lots of shit coming up, friends.
Any learning lessons from today's episode?
Dude, I like the idea of the collaboration. I think it's something that, when you think about even corporate life or general life, you think that I have to destroy human beings to succeed, right? And that's a very subconscious thing which people have. And I think it's rarely true. Like, unless you're living in a place where resources are less and you don't have enough, this thing, it's rarely true.
Hey, so man, as the greatest philosophers of my time said, the Metallica band, to quote them, seek and destroy, always.
Wow. So that's your management style. So so my learning is collaboration, and Manav's is to be like James Hetfield and seek and destroy. And also, by the way, Metallica can't seek and destroy. They had to form a band. Hetfield couldn't do it himself, right? He couldn't just otherwise he'd be a singer-songwriter.
It started with Mustaine, and Mustaine was out, seeked and destroyed by Hetfield. Then he continued.
Yeah.
So.
But see, he still collaborated, right? He collaborated with somebody else. It's not like he didn't have a drummer post that,
Man, okay, bands are not a great example. Let's go with solo acts.
Bands are a bad example of how not to collaborate. That is even Justin Bieber, if he's a solo guy, whatever.
Excuse me, Justin Bieber, everyone knows.
But he's not done it alone, right? Somebody discovered him performing in a mall or whatever the shit it was, whatever. Anyway, Jayesh Tripathi says Sorabh clearly needs a new manager. Oh my God! I'm gonna
block this guy. Okay, bye.
Allegations have been made. Raghav Bhargav, One Punch Man OP. I'm going to talk about One Punch Man, by the way, for the entire live on Saturday. So that's about it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to all my mods, Devesh Srivastav, Sharanya Deva, Aerotech SJCIT 50 also. Mod. Oh, congrats, man. and of course Kajol Agarwal. Head to the Discord server. We had a live one of these days. Membership. There's a lot of stuff happening for members because of the Diwali time. We had an open mic night yesterday, which is super fun. We had poets. We had Heli Shah. We had Amanpreet Singh. Amanpreet Singh. What's his name? Is it Preet or Deep?
Amandeep Singh Khayal.
Amandeep Singh, sorry. I apologize. Amandeep Singh Khayal. We had Azim Banatwala, blah, blah, blah. Lots of people. And then the next one is happening on Monday at 8 p.m. for which you've got Pavitra Shetty, Sapan Verma, Ramya Rampriya, Shashi Dhiman. Who else? Jia Sethi and a bunch of other people are going to be there.
Others
so
might drop in.
Yeah, lots of people will drop in. It's probably going to be about 8 people. That's for level 3 members. I'm going to give the Zoom link much in advance this time so more people can show up. And Discord, please join. And we're doing a bunch of stand-up shows, and level 3 members also get free tickets for those shows as well. So please come. Okay, guys, I'm going to head out now. Thanks a lot for tuning in. I'll see you guys on Saturday at 11 o'clock. Goodbye. Take care of yourselves. Love you all. Marry me.